Good morning. Well, it's morning for me. May not be morning for you. Could be nighttime. Could be mid-morning. Could be noon. Could be really any time you want it to be. Well, you can't want time to be kind of trapped to the laws of time. Anyway, morning. Come on in. Have a cup of coffee with me. Yeah, that's pretty good. So, I did a really cool video. Well, I guess that's subjective. I thought I did a really cool video yesterday about an affordable system, basically around a $300 system to get you going in this journey. And I'm not going to call it an audiophile journey. I was thinking about this. I think audiophile, for me at least, has somewhat of a negative connotation because I really feel that if anybody has actually spent any time with some higher tier equipment and the people that sell that equipment and the people that service that equipment and the people that manufacture that equipment, I feel it's somewhat elitist. And I'm not here to talk about what I would consider elitist type of products. I'm here to talk about enjoying your music to the fullest with the smallest amount of money. Like the law of diminishing returns. You can continue spending money, but the added enjoyment, and I don't even know if it's going to add more enjoyment, but anyway, the added benefits are incremental as you continue to spend money. So there's a law of diminishing returns. Up to a certain point, you're going to get the most bang for your buck. You may get 92% at this price. You double that price, you may get 95%. Anyway, again, that's what's great about this audio enjoyment journey. It's completely subjective. So, I did a video yesterday about sub $300 systems, and I talked a lot about the Elac debut. Yesterday, I made a mistake and I called it the reference debut, but this is the Elac debut, first generation. It is the Elac debut B6. Also in Elac's line, they have the Unifi UB5. And this, again, is the first generation. They're both reported. We'll talk about some of the differences. What I wanted to do is I wanted to compare these two and kind of let you know what to expect if you buy either one of these speakers. What to expect if you buy both speakers. So before I forget to mention this, and I always forget what I would consider the most insightful part of my video. I had my wife sit here, and this is my office / listening room, and it's where I do all my listening and all my product comparisons. I wouldn't say it's a small room. It's definitely not a large room, and it's a really kind of perfect rectangle. But I also test products in my living room, which is big, and then in my bedroom, which is bigger than this room, but also has some wonky angles to it. So anyway, my bedroom's a good test of, a non-optimal listening room. So anyway, I sat my wife down, and when I got these out, and these have been taken residence somewhat permanently in my living room because they really fill the room very well, and the living room has tall ceilings and is big. When I got these out and brought them in here and I hooked them up again, I was gobsmacked. Not necessarily by their sound, but by their presence. When I say presence, I mean like how big they sounded, how wide they sounded, how deep and high. So I had my wife who listens to music, loves music, but she doesn't get all this. But she does get it because she doesn't like these things detracting from the aesthetic flow of our living areas. And I think some may have the same experience. But so I sat her down and I told her, pick out a song that you like and she couldn't, of course. So I put in Into the Mystic by Van Morrison, which ironically, excuse me, not ironically, it was the song that we danced to at our wedding, first dance. Very pretty song. Anyway, I put that song on, and I had her listen about 5 feet away. And her first comment was, "Are there only 2 speakers in here?" And I thought that really tied it up in a neat little bow about these speakers. It sounds like there's not just 2. It sounds like there's multiple speakers. It sounds like there's multiple speakers in multiple different areas of your room. And that was the thing that first, and that was the biggest impact for me the first time I heard these, is just how 3-dimensional they make the music. And I said, "Where do you hear the music coming from?" And she says, "I hear it from up above. And I hear it like behind the wall." And I had these, I don't know, I think about 18 inches from the wall, which some people say is not ideal. I thought it was, it's a compromise, right? I can't pull my speakers all the way out because I have kids and I have to work in here. Okay, so that is the first impression, and I think the longest lasting impression I have of these is just how big, how wide they are. So going over to the Uni-Fi UB5s. When this speaker first came out, I think it was a $290 speaker. When this speaker first came out, it was a $600 speaker. These both are kind of available. The debut on Amazon right now is $230, which I think is an absolute screaming deal. The UB5s, you can find them still, but they are only about $30 less than what they were new. So about $570. You might find a scratch and dent or something like that, or B stock for lower. I got these for $350. Elac outlet, highly recommended. So what do these do better? Well, these are different speakers in the sense that obviously this is smaller, but this is a 2-way and this is a 3-way. And I know it just looks like 2 speakers, but the top speaker is actually the mid-range and a tweeter. So they're called concentric. And if we're talking about, I don't know if you call it accuracy or fullness or neutrality. Neutrality basically means that the speaker is going to more accurately represent how the recording was recorded. So if the recording has a lot of bass, the speaker will have a lot of bass. If the recording has a lot of highs, the speaker will have a lot of highs. So this one, I would say, is more well-rounded and more complete from the sound signature, as in I think it's more accurate. I definitely think on voices, this is you hear the mid-range, you hear the voices. It's a very balanced experience. Also, a lot of good low end, very good low end from a very small woofer. It's not boomy. Sorry. It's not boomy. It's there. It's very much there. I think this speaker is ever so slightly brighter. And what I mean by brighter, I mean more treble. More, maybe a little bit more sparkly. Some people call this rolled off on the top end. I don't necessarily think it's rolled off. I think it's nice, and I think when you pump up the volume, which is a song, I believe, when you pump up the volume, everything's there. Where these two differ is mid-range. They differ other places, but the main difference for me is the mid-range. This is a more full mid-range, very nice mid-range. This speaker sounds to me a lot like the Klipsch RP600M, where the mid-range is absolutely there. It's a very nice mid-range, but it seems like the top half of the mid-range is more pronounced. This seems like it's got a fuller, nicer mid-range. This seems like the mid-range is good on the top portion of the mid-range. And I'm not saying that that is bad at all. Quite the opposite. I think if you had to ask me what the fun factor is, I'd say this one. It's just something else. And I think if you're just getting ready to buy your first nice set of speakers, or your first set of speakers that maybe doesn't come from Best Buy, although I think these are sold at, I know they're sold at Best Buy, the Magnolia area. And I actually AB'd these at Best Buy, and I didn't end up getting them because the top end wasn't as sparkly as the other speaker. And I don't think that ABing speakers is always a great idea. I think to really get to know a speaker, and I mean this is obvious, you have to spend some time with it in your room, not in some listening room. And I will tell you, the Magnolia listening room, not great. All the speakers are just on a shelf. They're all the same distance from the wall. Not great. And I just don't think those guys know really what they're doing. And that's fine. That's fine. They know how to change things. So, fun factor. I think this one has more fun factor. I think this one's great. It's very good, and I would consider it to be kind of what I judge other speakers on. Like, this is really good in all areas. Where this one is better, in my opinion, is the three-dimensional aspect of music. And I never heard that before this speaker. It sounds like it sounds like the music is wider than the actual speakers. It sounds like the music is taller than the actual speakers. And it sounds like the music is deeper than the actual speakers. This one does still do that. I just don't think it's as in your face as this one. And it is an incredible experience. Frankly, I think in a small room, you don't even need a surround system, like a 5-channel surround system. You just need these, and take them out a little bit from the wall, 12, 18, 20 inches, and just sit back and bask in the amazement of how this thing produces a really, I don't know, like you're there experience. It's, I really can't say enough good things about this. And yesterday, I found a very nice deal on the second generation of these, the 6.2, which is still available and probably will be for years to come. So I'm very excited about comparing the two together. So I think which one you should buy depends on which use case you have. If you are more into really accurate reproduction, then I would lean towards the UB5. If you're into, I want I want a different experience than I've ever had with music before, get this one. Sometimes on different reviews, you'll hear people talk about the speakers disappear. For me, the speakers really disappear quite easily with the debut B6s. And I'm not saying that as a criticism of this speaker. To me, this speaker sounds like almost all the other speakers I've ever heard. It's just better. It has better imaging. That means where the instrument or voice is coming from. It has better, I guess you'd call it, tonality across the bass, the mids, and the highs. It's a very, very good speaker, and it's probably my most favorite speaker that I've ever had. It just sounds incredible. But it doesn't quite put you into the music as much as the B6. Speakers are like shoes. Bear with me on this one. Speakers are like shoes. Sometimes you have sneakers that you wear a lot, very comfortable, but you're not going to wear those to a wedding. Well, you could, but you probably wouldn't. You might wear a dress shoe. And I'm not saying this is a sneaker and that's a dress shoe at all. What I'm saying is, if you love music as much as I do, sometimes you want to dress up a little bit. Sometimes you want to just have fun and run around and jump through a hoop, or take the hoop and make it spin around your waist. I don't know. I don't know what you do with hoops, what you personally do with hoops. That's your business. I don't know why we're talking about hoops. Point being is, I would encourage you to actually have different speakers. And that's why I love bookshelves so much, because it's not a pain to go and put these in different locations. If you want to try out the debuts, take these off your stands and you put that one on your stand, you hook it up, and there you go. Very quick, very simple. I also like bookshelves because they're less obtrusive into a room. And I do have a family and other people to consider. Both of these are very good on the bass, and both of these really, the sound changes depending upon how close or how far away from a wall you have. I would say this bass is boomier, and it's not as accurate as this bass. But that still, I don't want to try to encourage anybody to change. It depends on what you want to listen to. If you just want to have a great time and have fun and hear things in a different way than you've ever heard them before, then get this. I mean, and it's cheaper. Just can't say enough about it, and I'm very excited about the second generation. Also, let's talk about component pairing. So this can be driven off of and I had this yesterday. This can be driven off of a $70-ish Class D Chinese amplifier. And actually, Fuzzy Audio is a really decent company. And I'll tell you the reason why. I've bought two or three products from them. I bought a little DAC headphone amp for my son. And then this one is a 100 watt per channel. It's not 100 watts per channel. It's not 100 watts per channel without clipping. A little amplifier. And this absolutely drove these. These are 4 ohm. This is a 6 ohm. Absolutely drove these. And it drove them. It drove them just fine. I enjoy the music. I also had these hooked up to a $2,500 integrated amp, Moon by Sim Audio 240i. And I have a review on that one. It drove them fine. And it was very clear, very nice. I heard things in here that I haven't heard before. Subtle things. I had these hooked up to the Denon PMA 600NE. I also have a review about that. It drove them just fine. Sounded great. And then I hooked them up to the Anthem integrated 225, which is a beast of a amplifier. I think it's 300 or 320 watts into 4 ohms. The other two, the Denon is about 70 watts into 4 ohms, and I think the Sim Audio, or the Moon by Sim Audio, was about 75 into 4 ohms. And there was a significant difference between all of the other amps and the Anthem amp. I wouldn't say it brought them to life. I would say it shocked them. Like when the guy's in the ambulance and it's flatlining and they take out the panels and that's what that amplifier did to these. So my point is, as you increase, I'm going to step back on that one. I'm not saying as you increase up the tier and price, this gets better. I would say that the Anthem made these shockingly better. And that's going to be dependent on the amp. And I don't necessarily think it's dependent on the power, per se. It could be. But you'd be surprised at how little power you actually need to drive speakers, even inefficient speakers. My point being is that this changes depending upon what you have it hooked up to. And that, unfortunately, is going to have to be tested on a case-by-case basis. I know for me, my favorite pairing is the Anthem integrated 225 and the UB5s. These will change a little bit depending upon the source you have. And that's true of really anything. What I would say about the debut B6s is they don't change as much as the UB5s with whatever's driving them. And that kind of makes sense. Simply because this is a three-way, that's a two-way. So I'm a really big fan of Elac. I'll step that back. I'm a really big fan of all the Andrew Jones designed Elac speakers. I think they're absolutely incredible. And I think anything that he touches is going to be of extraordinarily high value. And that's why I recommend them so much, is you just get so much for your money. So I hope this helped you out if you're looking at these two speakers, or even if you've heard about these two speakers. Again, different price ranges, different use cases. If I could only keep one, it would actually be the B6s, simply because it is such a different musical experience. It's just so much fun. It's so much fun. But I'm keeping both because this, again, is kind of like my reference. This is what I judge all other speakers on, because I think this is the more traditional speaker. Traditional in the sense that you hear the music coming from two speakers. And I just think it's the best value for your money, bar none. Anyway, I hope you all have a great day. I've really been enjoying putting these videos out. I've had some comments. It's been really great, a little bit of interaction, and I hope to grow this to a point where I can keep bringing you more equipment, different equipment, in my opinions. And this is just my opinion. I'm not the be-all, end-all. There's a lot of guys out there that have way more experience than I do. But I do have about 40 years of listening experience. I think we all have a lot of listening experience, and that's why I think the ultimate judge of what's the best product for you is you. Everybody has listening experiences. We've been listening to music our entire lives, unless you don't have, I don't know. I would think most people have been listening to music their entire lives. I mean, even my 3-year-old, like, she hears something cool come on, she starts dancing around, feeling the music. It's innate. It's innate in us to love music. Now, there was a video, one of my earlier videos, where I said I have no links, I don't get paid for this. Now, the thing that is still true is I buy all of the equipment that I review. The thing that's not true anymore is that there's no links. I have started putting links into the description. Both of these will be linked in the description. I don't know if this one will be linked because I don't know if you can get it on Amazon still. Yeah, I think you can get it at Crutchfield still. So what happens if you click on the link? I basically get a commission if you buy it. So if you click on the link and you buy the product, I get a small commission. You, however, don't pay anything extra. And where that will help me in this channel is it's going to enable me to buy more products and review more products. Again, it costs you nothing. So if you are at all interested in buying any of the products that I review, use the link. It doesn't cost you anything else, and it helps me. And it's going to help me to bring you more videos, more advice. And I try not to give advice. I try to give information, and I try to tell you what is best for me. So, in full transparency, there are links now. So there you go. I hope you have a great day. I hope you have a nice cup of beverage in the morning. That gets you started. Or if it's midnight, I hope you sleep well. If it's noon, I hope you have a nice lunch. So anyway, Cheap Audio, man. My name is Randy, and that is going to do it for this video. So I hope that you like it. I hope you subscribe. And I hope you tell your friends about the Cheap Audio, man. He's a cool guy. You can have a beer with him. He's fun. He's fun to talk to.